And we're live. Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to the Big Mouth Daily Live, where I'll be updating you with dceu and Marvel, reading several articles. You can post your comments, you can ask your questions. I'll respond to as many as I can. I don't think I'm going to get that many comments, so I don't think I'll be like, oh no, how am I going to keep up? So I don't think that's a problem. So welcome everyone to the Big Mouth Daily Live. Shall we begin? Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. The most honest responses, the most passionate fandom is on this channel. And basically the stance we take here is zero bullshit. No one tells us what to think. No one tells us what to say. We're not here to kiss up to directors or producers or journalists. I'm a fan, and that's what I want to do. So let's begin. Now, this is a bit of an older story from 2 days ago. Zachary Levi, Shazam 2, receives production updates from dceu actress. Now that major blockbusters are finally returning to theatres and streaming services, news is coming on quite a regular basis for new entries that are turning on cameras and putting star actors on film once again. Warner Brothers is joining in on this, with production starting on multiple projects in the dceu, including Zachary Levi's Shazam, Fury of the Gods. The film has spent plenty of time in conversation, mostly thanks to its acquisition of iconic Hollywood talent for new DC roles. Two of the villains will be played by former Kill Bill star Lucy Liu and Academy Award winner Dame Helen Mirren, although not many plot details have come for this sequel in its early days of filming. Thankfully, things are really starting to kick into high gear, according to the latest social media post from one of the film's youngest stars. Oh, I adore her. Isn't she adorable? One of the best things from the first film, right? So, Faith C. Herman almost ready for Shazam 2. Actress Faith C. Herman took to Twitter to reveal that she's almost finished filming her material for season 5 of This Is Us. She's on This Is Us! I didn't know that, on NBC. This coming week, Herman will start Shazam Fury of the Gods to reprise her role as Darla Dudley. It's unclear exactly what Herman will be starting on with the DC sequel, as it could be anything from a script reading to rehearsals to possibly even filming itself. This is what Faith had to say. Last day of me filming This Is Us Season 5, and then I'm off to start Shazam 2 next week. I'm so grateful for these amazing opportunities. Happy Thursday. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, and This Is Us. Herman marks yet another cast member from 2019 Shazam that will be returning to play her character in the highly anticipated 2023 sequel. Sam Dejan review. Zach discussed what Man of Steel will be. I know I'll be discussing that shortly, Sam. Stay tuned. Ronnie Dodge. Morning, mate. Morning, Ronnie. Herman memorably played one of Billy Batson's adopted siblings in Darla, all of whom gained the powers of Shazam in the final scene of the movie when Zachary Levi's hero needed their help to defeat Dr. Sivana. Herman will team up once again with Asher Angel's Billy and Jack Dylan Grazer's Freddie Freeman as the family of superheroes looks forward to their next challenges within the dceu. It's becoming evident that all of them will have to use every bit of power they can muster against villains as formidable as those played by Mirren and Liu, even though the specifics are unknown right now. Fans now await news on when the rest of Batson's adopted family will join the fray, as well as the superpowered alter egos. Shazam Fury of the Gods and will release in theatres on June 2nd, 2023, but expect that to change, right? So that's very, very, very exciting. Darla is going to be filming. That's brilliant. I love her. She's adorable. I love the first Shazam. Some people out there can keep on putting it down. It's boring. Stay in your little bubble. Stay in your zone. Stay in your lane. We don't care about your negativity. Right. Let's move on. Gothic scenes from the Tim Burton's version of Gotham City from 1989's Batman will reportedly be recreated in parts of Scotland for the ongoing production of the Flash movie. Details. So let's click onto this and give this a read. I know Ronnie Dodge told me all about this the other day and we discussed it, but let's get the details. I like details. The Flash movie reportedly rebuilding Tim Burton's Gotham City for Michael Keaton's Batman by Richard Nebens of the DC Direct. There's also an MCU direct, by the way. Production for Warner Brothers' The Flash is finally underway in the United Kingdom as Ezra Miller brings the first full solo movie for DC's Scarlet Speedster. There is still plenty of material to shoot with the film, just under 18 months away from release, although fans are thrilled that cameras are rolling for this blockbuster. Recent set photos revealed The Flash will revisit Wayne Manor from 1989 Batman movie with Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne playing a key role alongside Miller and the DCEU Batman Ben Affleck. It's becoming evident that plenty of screen time will be devoted to this time period, with other photos showing off Keaton's classic Batmobile as well. How awesome is that? This trend continues in the latest news report, which teases Keaton's universe coming into play on an even larger scale. The Daily Record revealed that film crews for Warner Brothers' The Flash are scheduled to arrive in Scotland next month. Part of both Glasgow and Edinburgh in Scotland are set to be utilised to recreate Gothic scenes of Tim Burton's version of Gotham City from 1989 Batman film, which starred Michael Keaton. A source from the shoot said that this is really exciting for DC Comics fans. And it is. And by the way, Tim Burton apparently will be in Scotland for that. So that's very exciting. It's really exciting for DC comic fans that film crews will be back in town. It's great news for Glasgow and Edinburgh, and that once again the outstanding architecture will be showcased in such big film. I know I read that out a few days ago, but always great to get more details, isn't it? More love for Keaton's Batman. While it's unclear how much time will be spent in Keaton's timeline, he will be given plenty of background for his first appearance in nearly 30 years. DC and Warner Brothers have the additional option to take footage straight from the 89 Batman movie, but it will be interesting to see what comes from shooting in the recreated Gotham. While the report mentions these scenes being for flashbacks, this could also play into how Keaton's Batman finds his way into the story alongside Barry Allen. The DCEU multiverse is said to be fully explored in this film, which should be pushed along by seeing this version of Gotham recreated for the newer franchise. Since it's unclear how much time the crew will spend shooting in this location, fans will certainly be on the lookout for more information surrounding this adventure. And that's that. So very, very exciting. It looks like we are going to get these flashbacks, and a lot of time will be spent in this Earth. So very, very exciting. So I can't wait for that. Because this is the film that changes everything, isn't it? Ronnie Dodge, it's going to be weird seeing the Burton Gotham again. Oh, well, can't wait. Can't wait. This is why everyone's pumped. Well, mostly everyone, apart from a few uneducated. Right. Justice League. James Gunn comments on Snyderverse fan movement. So he's been pretty positive about the fans, or tried his best, but people are being toxic towards him because they're uneducated. In the weeks following the long-anticipated release of the Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max, the director has remained in the spotlight due to his upcoming Netflix film Army of the Dead. This is in addition to the continuing efforts of his fan army in pressuring Warner Bros. To restore the Snyderverse. But instead of past plans, Warner Bros. Only seems interested in their packed slate of upcoming projects such as Black Adam starring The Rock, Shazam sequel, Matt Reeves' The Batman, and more. And the film to usher in the literal wave of new projects from Warner Brothers is James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, releasing on August the 6th, 2021. James Gunn is well known for both sharing his work and interacting with fans on social media. And in response to a recent post about his upcoming Peacemaker series, a spin-off of The Suicide Squad, the director was able to share his thoughts on a fan movement involving another DC project. In response to Gunn's behind-the-scenes Instagram pic, user Rahasui commented, claiming that fans didn't want Peacemaker but rather Zack Snyder's projects. What a fucking idiot. Gunn's response, that's not how creativity works. No one asked for The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, or Seinfeld either. That's not how television or ideas or creativity works. Open up your mind to the possibilities of what you don't know, and your life will be more full. Oh my God, James Gunn killed it, mate, killed it. Marcus Walker, I feel sorry for Gunn. Just because he has been given creative freedom, they are using it against him. But did you hear what he just said? Did you hear what he just said? He exposed and slayed this meathead, and it's absolutely fantastic. User Russell Hui, however you say his name, commenting back, establishing that he's not against Gunn's work, but he alluded to the fan effort behind the Restore the Snyderverse movement, expressing that Warner Brothers should make good on their promise before greenlighting Gunn's project. They didn't make any promise, by the way, mate. Gunn then replied back saying, you can't have it both ways. Warner's wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I wanted to do this. That's simple. You can't have it both ways. You either want creators to have power or you want creators to only do what you want them to do. Well, let me reiterate and repeat what Gunn said. Warner's wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I wanted to do this. That's simple. You can't have it both ways. You either want creators to have power or you want creators to do only what you want them to do. I tell you what about that for exposing this idiot? He should just ignore these. I can't say that word and they've put your message up for review, but I totally agree, Marcus Walker. But it's brilliant. Yeah, laughing MOJ, Gunn responded perfectly. Yes, he did, because intelligence always exposes meatheads. These people will be continued to be exposed. They live in a bubble. The mainstream audience are not listening to them. I'm a fan of Snyder and his 3 dceu movies, but stop it already. Stop it. If you want to fight to restore the Snyderverse, stop attacking people and stop telling people you can't be a Snyder fan if you support the current DC projects. Ridiculous. Kurt, Manchester United fan, Australia's Glazers out. Hello, bro. Hello, Kurt. From here, the exchange shifted more towards Warner Brothers' track record with creators and the issue of creative control. And according to Rahulisi's perspective, the studio's actions prevented some creators from realizing their vision. While Gunn has had a different experience, Gunn replied again, stating that the Instagram users' actions are hypocritical. Listen to this. Yes, so imagine if Zach wanted to make a Metamorpho show and you were on here complaining about that. Like I said, you can't have it both ways. My creative choices aren't dictated by the studio, and they aren't dictated by you either. Your actions are hypocritical. Wow. It's about time someone exposed these people. So we go on. Gunn was then asked whether Zack Snyder's million of fans are also hypocritical, to which the director responded saying, of course not, and emphasizing that the fans are fighting for a director's choices. What? Of course not. The people trying to restore the Snyderverse are fighting for a director's choices. They aren't on here simultaneously complaining about a director's choices. That's the point. This guy came in saying nobody wants Peacemaker. Nobody wants the Suicide Squad. What was my reaction when I heard James was doing this? Even as a Snyder fan and loving the original DCEU, I was excited because I know this guy is brilliant. We've seen his Guardians movies. They're both great. We know this guy is a passionate fan with talent. So really excited and really great to see this guy exposed. Intelligent people always will climb up above idiots. So that was brilliant. So here's a thread from the DC Syndicate. Marcus Walker, I want Peacemaker. Yeah, a lot more people want Peacemaker than don't. Right, here's a thread from the DC Syndicate. Go and follow him, at DC_Syndicate. When Zack pitched this idea, well, hang on. Right, let's start from the beginning. Zack Snyder reportedly pitched a Man of Steel sequel to Warner Brothers before taking up BVS. The details of the movie is as follows. The movie would have been a direct sequel to Man of Steel. The movie was supposed to start off where Man of Steel ended, Welcome to the Planet scene, which that should have been the case. Story would have featured Brainiac invasion. Subplot of the movie was Batman investigating about the Kryptonian. We could have seen the detective aspects of Batman. Batman should never have been in any Superman sequel. He should have been in his own origin movie. That was a mistake from day one. Whose idea was it to bring Superman into the sequel? Snyder's or the studio's? Whoever it was made a mistake. Kryptonians in the Phantom Zone, like Faora, could have returned. The movie would have ended with Batman acquiring a kryptonite shipment. Lex Luthor was also part of the movie. Don't mind Lex being part of a Superman movie. Superman should have had his own movie before meeting Superman. When Zack pitched this idea, studio told him that if he is bringing Batman in MOS2, then they should fight. Basically, Zack wanted Batman in the Man of Steel sequel from the beginning. This, my friends, was a mistake. That's my issue. I love the idea of Brainiac invading and the people who were sucked into the Phantom Zone at the end of Man of Steel. and it continuing straight off from Welcome to the Planet. Awesome, awesome, awesome. But why is that? Why did Batman have to make his bow in the DCEU in a Superman movie? I like the interconnectedness of it, but maybe, how about this? This project with Batman in it, right? But a Batman origin movie before that for Batfleck. Then Ben Affleck would have been able to write, direct, and star in his own movie before being in the Man of Steel sequel. Doesn't that make more sense? Why would you have Batman for his first appearance in the DCEU in a Superman movie? Superman's had his origins. Why can't everyone have their origins? So I'm sorry, Zach, I don't agree with Batman coming in before he had his own origin movie. And you can let me know in the comments down below or to the side of me what you think about my views on that. Wow, I'm hot. So let's continue with our updates. So where are we? Here we go. Right. Kurt, Manchester United fan, Australia Glazers out. Manchester United fan protest tomorrow morning, bro. Wow. Keep me updated. The Glazers are in a lot of trouble, aren't they? What do you think of that open letter, Kurt? Right, we're on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and this is about Black Adam. Marcus Walker, I agree. Ben deserved the solo project. He deserved the solo project first. Why did we want to force feed Batman in his first appearance in a Superman movie? Kurt, Manchester United fan, Australia Glazers out. Bed, bro. All right. Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam costume doesn't need superhero padding. Yeah, I don't think that's a surprise or breaking news to anyone, is it? With his strength coach, Dave Rinzi, Dwayne Johnson has created a realistic superhero physique for his upcoming role as the DC anti-hero Black Adam. To be fair, though, The Rock has got a fucking awesome, rock-like physique already. It's a bit harder for other actors. This is by Adam Benz of Screen Brand. Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam costume does not need superhero padding. According to The Rock's strength coach, Dave Rienzi, originally attached to play the DC anti-hero a decade ago, Black Adam has long been gestating as a potential star vehicle for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Black Adam was originally set to make his cinematic debut in 2019 Shazam, but these plans were scrapped. But you know what? Doesn't this prove that Warner Brothers are learning from their mistakes? Think about this, right? Batman shouldn't have been in a Superman sequel before his own movie. They decided to change their minds and not have Black Adam in the Shazam movie. I think that was the right decision. Sanderjan reviews, they can do world's finest with Cavill and Affleck. Kurt, Manchester United fan, Australia Glazers out. The Rock from WWE Wrestling, bro. I know. These plans were scrapped in lieu of a solo spin-off starring Johnson, currently one of the biggest box office draws in Hollywood. While Black Adam has been in development for years, filming finally started on the DC Warner Brothers production last month. Directed by Jaume Collet-Serra, who also helmed Johnson's Jungle Cruise, Black Adam will introduce a slew of new heroes to the DCEU by the way of the Justice Society of America. This lineup includes Aldis Hodge as Hawkman, Quintus Swindell as Cyclone, and Noah Centeno as Atom Smasher. But one of the biggest castings was announced this March. Pierce Brosnan, the former James Bond actor, is set to play the powerful sorcerer Dr. Fate, rounding out the film's JSA roster. Isn't it ironic, though, that Eon Productions decided that Brosnan was too old to continue as Bond, but now he's getting all these roles and he's playing one of the biggest iconic characters in DC lore. In the many months leading up to the start of filming, Johnson has frequently shared his training progress on social media. Now, The Rock strength coach Dave Rienzi, who has also trained with Henry Cavill, and numerous NFL stars, is revealing how he and Johnson worked closely to achieve that. Chiseled from granite. Look, in an interview with Muscle and Fitness, Rienzi says the goal for Johnson has long been creating a real-life superhero physique, which did not require his Black Adam costume to be padded. Read Rienzi's full quote below. It's a fun process when you have someone like DJ who is so driven, disciplined, and determined to do the work. There's a continuously evolving vision that we are always working towards. Sorry, I'm trying not to laugh here because I'm imagining me trying to get a ripped body with this guy. I'll be like, I need a cigarette. Always working towards. We've been building up to the Black Adam movie for a while with this goal of creating a real-life superhero physique with no padded superhero suit necessary. So everyone's going to be happy with that. Black Adam's repeated delays in production due to the COVID-19 pandemic may have actually come with a silver lining since the cast had more time to train and prepare for their roles. It does seem to have paid dividends since the cast has looked ripped in multiple workout posts. Now that filming has officially begun, fans are now eagerly awaiting a first look at the Black Adam cast in costume rather than gym clothes. Sam Dejan reviews, I want the Man of Steel with Henry Cavill. I want Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill. Dwayne Johnson was the first actor to begin filming, so it may not be long until he's allowed to share a photo in costume as the film's titular antihero, apparently free of any padding. Black Adam recently set a release date of July 2022, and since then, everything appears to be on schedule as the film aims for release right between Matt Reeves' The Batman in March and the Flash solo film in November. So 2022, a huge year for DC fans, and it's a big test. This has to work for them, or it simply is curtains, and we don't want to hear the haters being too smug either. So we will see. We will see. So our next story is, because the Venom 2 Let There Be Carnage trailer was posted yesterday, dropped. And this is from Screen Rant. Venom 2 director Andy Serkis on the movie connection to the MCU. Obviously, there are links between Venom and Spider-Man and the Marvel Universe and the Spider-Man story. They are unaware at this point of other characters like Spider-Man. So this is interesting. Let's give this a read. Venom 2 characters don't know about Spider-Man. Interesting way to go at it. Let There Be Carnage director Andy Serkis explains how Eddie Brock's world fits in with Spider-Man, which is to say, it isn't intended to, by Rachel Labonte of Screen Rant. The characters of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, don't know about Spider-Man, says director Andy Serkis. Monday morning brought a slew of new information about the long-awaited Venom. Let There Be Carnage, the sequel to Sony's surprise 2018 hit Venom. Tom Hardy returns to play Eddie Brock, a journalist who a year and a half before the new film became unwitting host to a symbiote with a passion for chocolate. As Eddie and Venom still struggle to adjust to life together, a new threat emerges in the form of Woody Harrelson's Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage. Venom Let There Be Carnage is the second installment in Sony's growing Marvel universe. The studio has held the rights to numerous Spider-Man characters over the years and has long aimed to create their own shared world around these characters. The Jared Leto starring Morbius will enter the picture next year. But the biggest question is, where is Spider-Man? Since Sony has worked with Marvel Studios on their iteration of Spider-Man, there's been some confusion over where Sony's franchise exists within the MCU. This was further complicated by Spider-Man Homecoming's Michael Keaton appearing in Morbius trailer last year. Well, before I go on in this article, actually, it's very, very interesting, actually, because if you see the trailer, if you see the Daily Bugle, it's the Daily Bugle logo from the Raimi movies. So it looks like this Venom movie, this Venom universe is part of Raimi's universe, and they're talking about that Spider-Man, and it could be that Maguire is this Venom Spider-Man. Now, this would contradict everything because we've already seen a version of Venom in Spider-Man 3, but that doesn't mean this version can't coexist. We've had one Venom from kind of the alien and the way it landed and all of that, right? And this is a different version of the symbiote, right? So it can all coexist if you're clever. Where are we? Kurt, Manchester United fan, Australia glazed out. You are new. You are new by clicking here. Subscribe, everyone. Next goal, 1K subscribe, bro. Oh, right, they don't let you write subscribe. That's why I have to hide your, your post. So now we have a bit more clarification on this from Venom. Let There Be Carnage director Serkis, while speaking to IGN about the film, Serkis said he crafted Venom 2 to exist within its own world, as in separate from Spider-Man and the MCU. However, this could change in the future, Serkis said. This is interesting. I'll read what Andy says in a minute. But it looks like this is nothing to do with the MCU, and the Spider-Man that this is connected to is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. It means I think the studio really wants to make a Spider-Man 4 and a 5 and a 6 with Maguire and Raimi. And I think this is very, very exciting. You know, that's more exciting than this being connected to the MCU, as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, there are links between Venom and Spider-Man and the Marvel Universe and the Spider-Man story. We're treating this very much as its own world. The Venom story in his own world. There are nods and little moments like the shot of the newspaper of the Daily Bugle, which is the Raimi Daily Bugle, as we've already said, of course. But on the whole, he's unaware. They are unaware at this point of other characters like Spider-Man. So that's the way we've chosen to play this particular episode of the movie. But, well, we'll wait and see. We'll see what little things you can pick out of it. So very, very interesting. Part of the Raimi universe, and that's a good thing. Anyway, the first Venom, Let There Be Carnage trailer held some connections to the broader Spider-Man universe, such as the aforementioned Daily Bugle. However, there are so far no indications that the web-slinger will be mentioned or referenced in any way, or that the movie will connect to the MCU. Circus comments certainly suggest as much. Last year, rumours swirled suggesting current Spider-Man Tom Holland will have a cameo in Venom, Let There Be Carnage. If he actually does, Circus wouldn't say anything about it at this stage, obviously. So his above response doesn't necessarily write off the possibility. Still, fans shouldn't get their hopes up too high. Will Sony, still growing their Marvel universe, it still actually be smart to avoid any Spider-Man connections at this point in time? Sure, audiences really want to see Venom clash with Spidey, but Sony is working with characters non-comics fans might not be aware of. It would be smarter to build them up on their own before bringing in the main event with lesser movies. This might sound quite boring, but the first glimpse of Venom Let There Be Carnage has promised a rollicking adventure. It might not need Spider-Man at all. Listen to me, Carnage is a very popular villain in the Marvel comic book universe. But it's interesting because what Wanda did in WandaVision tore down the fabric and the walls of the multiverse, which means anything can bleed into anything. So everything's a part of everything. It's like what they're doing on Flashpoint. So it's very exciting for both, Marvel fans and DC fans. And I'm very excited for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So some great comments by Andy Serkis. I actually forgot he was directing this film, which really gives me even higher hopes for this movie now. So really exciting. Director Andy Serkis opens up about how the relationship between Venom and Eddie has changed in the upcoming Let There Be Carnage movie. So let's check that out. Right. Marcus Walker and the scene where Cletus Cassidy says the rescuer never comes and then smashes the spider on the table. I mean, talk about connections. That's a big Spidey connection as well. So that, yeah, I like that, Marcus. How Venom and Amp, what? Let's say that again. I don't know why they say and damn. How Venom, Eddie's relationship is different in Let There Be Carnage. Director Andy Serkis opens up about how the relationship between Venom and Eddie has changed in the upcoming Let There Be Carnage by Grant Hermanis of Screamer. Director Andy Serkis has opened up on how the relationship between Eddie Brock and Venom has changed in the time between the first film and the upcoming Venom Let There Be Carnage. The story will see the return of Tom Hardy's investigative journalist, as he and the titular symbiote must face off against serial killer Cletus Cassidy and the evil alien symbiote Carnage. Alongside Hardy, the cast will include the return of Michelle Williams and Woody Harrelson, as well as the introduction of Naomi Harris and Stephen Graham. Yes, Stephen Graham, British actor Stephen Graham, brilliant actor from Liverpool, is going to be in this as well, and I'm really excited. After initially considering including him in the first film, the creative team behind 2018's Venom elected to save Carnage for a potential future film to better focus on Eddie and Venom. Despite taking a critical beating, the film proved to be a hit at the box office, and Sony officially ordered a sequel in January 2019, with Kelly Marcel returning to write the script. After co-writing the original, with original director Ruben Fleischer busy working on Zombieland, Double Tap, Serkis signed on to direct in August 2019, and production ran from that November to February the following year, just before the global pandemic shut down nearly all film and television productions. Much like many other films last year, the sequel saw its release date delayed numerous times, but it's currently set to hit theatres on September 24th. In a breakdown of the first trailer for the film for IGN, Serkis opened up about the new relationship between Venom and Eddie and how it has changed in the year and a half since the first film's story. Looking to explore what fans loved about the first film, Serkis explained that he and his creative team amplified the odd couple stage of the relationship between the two. Read what Serkis had to say below. So we'll just drink a bit of water and we'll give that a read. They're figuring out how to be with each other, and it's like living with this maniac toddler. Eddie's really struggling. He can't concentrate. He's trying to get on with work. And he, of course, only thinks about himself anyway on the whole. So having this other being in a small space in his little flat is like looking into a kind of weird screwed up mirror version of himself. And Venom, of course, feels trapped because he can't leave Eddie's body unless he has his permission. And when they go out, the deal is you live in my body, you live in my rules, and we're under threat. We're in a dangerous position here. We've got to keep quiet, and nobody must know because all of the things that happened in the last story, if people find out and get a grip of what's going on, then we'll both be hauled into Area 51 and examined. Marcus Walker. Andy also said that Stephen is playing a cop named Mulligan, and in the comics, a guy named Mulligan is the first host of the symbiote toxin. Oh, now that's very interesting. I thought Stephen Graham will be playing a bigger role than it seems he's playing. So I think that's a great spot by Marcus Walker. Well done, Marcus. Keep the information because I've never read a Venom comic anyway. While critics and audiences may have been very divided on their opinions on the first Venom, one thing most agreed upon was the enjoyment that came from watching Eddie and Venom interact. Though the end of the last film saw the two pretty in sync with each other and their desires, the idea of somewhat starting anew with the two as Venom has devolved in a significant time jump. While Eddie tries to grow Venom and Eddie's uneasy relationship is primed for the fun foibles that come from the odd couple formula, making Serkis' comments about a further emphasis on this element sure to excite fans. As much as fans might have a lot of anticipation for the sequel, there are still a number of things it will have to fix to course correct from its predecessor. I don't agree. A bigger spotlight on Eddie and Venom will surely keep fans pleased. We had that already in the first film, which is cool. So I'm going to see more of that. And if it handles their relationship a little better, their relationship was handled perfectly, then the last film, it could actually win over some naysayers. For now, we'll have to wait and see until Venom, Let There Be Carnage hits theatres on September the 24th. Obviously, you may saw another Venom movie because that's not what I saw. You just said the relationship was perfect, but it needs to fix the relationship between them. You're not making sense, right? Go and have a cup of tea, right? God dear. Venom, Let There Be Carnage director Andy Serkis offers new details on how the villainous Shrike will fit into the film's story. So let's check that one out. Venom 2 director explains how new villain Shrike fits into the story. Not Shrek, Shrake. Or is it Shriek? Who knows? Venom, Let There Be Carnage director Andy Serkis offers new details on how the villainous Shrike will fit into the story of the sequel by Grant Hamant from Screen Rant. Marcus Walker, Stephen is awesome and a lovely guy. I have been lucky enough to meet him on a few occasions. Yeah, Stephen's great. Yeah, very fortunate to have met him. You have, yeah, really great guy, really talented guy, and a gentleman. Yeah, a Liverpudlian gentleman. Kurt, Manchester United fan, Australia glazes out. I'm birthday today, bro. Happy birthday, Kurt. Director Andy Serkis has offered some insight on the introduction of Naomi Harris's Shriek in the forthcoming Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and how she fits into the story. A follow-up to the Tom Hardy-led 2018 Sony Marvel blockbuster. The sequel follows Eddie Brock Hardy and his titular alien symbiote as they must face off against serial killer Cletus Cassidy and his evil alien symbiote Carnage. Woody Harrelson will return as the antagonist, with Michelle Williams also reprising her role as Eddie's ex-fiancée, Anne Weying. Do you know what? I think Michelle Williams was terrible casting. It's one of the weakest things of the first film. I don't know why they picked her. She didn't work for me. The first standalone Venom film hit theatres in 2018 after over 20 years of attempts at getting one off the ground, failed, and appearances in other Spider-Man films were forced or scrapped. despite its negative critical reception. You see, you're just saying the same things again. Just get on with it. Stop wasting space to fill up an article. The film was box office smash, grossing over 856 million against its 100 million budget. And with Hardy already having signed on to two more sequel films, Sony official greenlit a sequel in January 2019 with original co-writer Kelly Marcel attached to pen the script, with original director Ruben Fleischer busy putting the finishing touches. They're saying the same things again. Why? Why not just get on with it? Pathetic. In a breakdown of the first trailer for the next installment in the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters for IGN, Serkis opened up about how Harry's Shriek would fit into the larger framework of the story, in addition to describing how Shriek would be explored in the sequel. Serkis praised Marcel's work of creating beautiful, drawn and multifaceted, totally truthful and believable characters. Read what Serkis had to say below. She's a damaged soul and she really has suffered in her childhood, but there is a real vulnerability about her and she's in a lot of pain. She's been living in isolation for years and years and years, and she's dangerous too. And I think she has her own sense of fairness and being just. And I think when that line is crossed, then you see a very, very dangerous dark side to her. And that's what we wanted to do with the character. It sounds awesome, doesn't it? Daniel Leach, good morning, Daniel. Danny boy. There's certainly still a lot of uncertainty of how the film will introduce both Shriek and Carnage. You know why there's still uncertainty? Because we haven't seen the film yet. Both Shriek and Carnage, namely where it will properly adapt the Maximum Carnage storyline of the comics, given that it features a number of characters Sony doesn't have the rights to. But from both Serkis' comments and glimpses from the trailer, it seems the team behind Let There Be Carnage is certainly looking to remain faithful to the crossover arc and character. In addition, Marcel seems to be trying to make her a more vulnerable character by emphasizing her dark past. This is certainly a good sign. The sequel will be offering a more interesting antagonist than the first film delivered. The first film wasn't about the antagonist. It was about Venom's origin story. Don't you understand? Superman the movie isn't really about Lex Luthor. It's about Superman. He's on Krypton. He's sent to Smallville. Then he comes to the big city. It's about him. Batman Begins is really more about Bruce Wayne's story and origin than Miley Ducard, right? That's the whole point of an origin. Don't you get it? Anyway, whether or not Maximum Carnage will act as the primary source of inspiration for the plot of the film, the first trailer and comments from the creative team do point toward wanting to fix the issues with the first film. Why don't you shut up? Questions still abound as how it will be explained. Cletus got his symbiote, or how Shriek acquired her powers, as the comics explanation would require the film to have a bigger ties to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not necessarily. You're talking shit than it may currently have. For now, viewers will have to wait and see how it all shapes out when Venom Let There Be Carnage hits theatres on September 24th. It's interesting, and I suppose it depends on the journalist, but sometimes Screen Rant have some good takes, and sometimes it's the journalists, isn't it? It's just no good. The first trailer for Venom Let There Be Carnage appears to feature a subtle nod to the Avengers. What's going on in Sony's Spider-Man spin-offs? Is Venom in the same shared universe as the MCU movies? Well, I've already explained this, but we'll go over it. It's about 30 Celsius here. It's damn hot, my brothers and sisters. Venom 2 trailer hints the Avengers are active in Sony's Marvel timeline. The first trailer for Venom Let There Be Carnage appears to feature a subtle nod to the Avengers. What's going on in Sony's Spider-Man spin-offs? By Thomas Bacon. The trailer for Venom Let There Be Carnage contains a subtle nod suggesting the Avengers are active in the world of Sony's Spider-Man spin-offs. The relationship between Sony's Spider-Man spin-offs and the MCU has always been curious. Back in 2017, Sony's Amy Pascal claimed these movies were adjuncts to the MCU, beginning weeks of confusion back and forth about just how connected the two universes would be. Yeah, thanks for confusing everyone, Amy. Marvel and Sony struck a new deal in 2019, one that kept Spider-Man in the MCU, but appears to suggest Spider-Man could crop up in the both MCU and Sony films. Spider-Man also happens to be the only hero with the superpower to cross cinematic universes. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige observed in an official statement, so as Sony continues to develop their own Spideyverse, you never know what surprises the future might hold. The Morbius trailer appeared to confirm Sony's movies linked to the MCU, somehow featuring Michael Keaton reprising his role as the MCU's Vulture, and a poster that seemed to reference the events of Spider-Man Far From Home. The general assumption is that Sony is taking advantage of the multiverse to use the same cast as the MCU, and that Tom Holland's Spider-Man will swing his way into alternate dimensions sometime soon. It's very interesting. If the Sony spin-offs do take place in another timeline, then the Venom 2 trailer hints the Avengers may be active in it. And going for a rough patch too, in one scene an unknown man, Stephen Graham, seen rifling through the pages of the Daily Bugle with the camera focusing on the front page about serial killer Cletus Cassidy. When he closes the paper in annoyance though, it's possible to slow the video down enough to read some of the headlines inside, and one includes what appears to be a reference to the Avengers. Yeah, you see part of the word Avengers, so that's interesting. So is it the MCU Avengers, or has the Sony Spideyverse got its own Avengers? That's interesting. So we don't know if this is part of the multiverse or if this universe has its own Avengers. That's something. So they are going multiverse. So it would make sense for Holland to bleed into this world. And hang on a minute, someone's calling me. Nah. Sorry, just 1 minute, please. What is it? What is it? Sorry about that. I was interrupted. So let's have a look. Marcus Walker. It's WandaVision all over again. Ha ha ha. Articles all over the smallest details. I know. It's so annoying. Daniel Leach. The first Venom movie never really did it for me, to be honest. Well, you know, it was weak in places, but I did love the interaction between Venom and the character. I thought it was okay. It wasn't the best film ever. It doesn't have to be the best thing ever. But it worked, and people went to see it, and they were excited to see a live action, you know, Venom movie with Tom Hardy of all people as well. So where was I? So the world is only partly visible, meaning you can think of other worlds ending with Engers. Perhaps some passengers had a nightmare commute when a train broke down, but Sony will have known full well that any reference to the mystery Engers in a Marvel movie will logically be taken as a nod to the Avengers. Not necessarily. Meaning this little detail should probably be taken as a suggestion there is such a group as the Avengers in Sony's timeline. A different Avengers though. It's certainly surprising to see, and it will be sure to leave many viewers very curious indeed to once and again try to figure out the relationship between Sony spin-offs and the mainstream MCU. Are Sony's films adjunct existing in the same shared universe but not part of the main story, as Pascal seemed to hint back in 2017, or do they take place in a world very similar to the MCU, where there is a different version of Spider-Man and there are indeed other superheroes too? It's all extremely curious. Hopefully it won't be long before these mysteries become clear. Venom Let There Be Carnage is due out in September, with Spider-Man No Way Home releasing at cinemas in December, so viewers may well end the year with a lot more clarity about where the Sony Spider-Man spin-offs stand than they have right now. Alternatively, Marvel and Sony may decide to continue in this vein, leaving things as enigmatic as possible, figuring they don't want to cause a bust-up between the two studios by trying to iron it all out. Very interesting. So we got the multiverse. We got Michael Keaton's character in Morbius. So there is a crossover. These characters are crossing over into the Sony universe. That's for sure. But I also feel that Tobey Maguire will do some more Spider-Man movies and appear in these other kind of villain movies as well. It could happen in the end that Sam Raimi could run the whole Sony universe, which would be really exciting because there's no bigger Marvel fan who has great knowledge. I prefer Raimi to Feige, actually. So this will be very exciting and very interesting. So let's see what's happening here. But at the moment, it's slightly confusing and it's getting us all guessing, but very, very, very exciting. Margot Robbie says she regularly pesters Warner Brothers about adding Poison Ivy to the DCEU. I'm very keen to see a Harley-Poison Ivy relationship on screen. It'll be so fun, so I'll be pestering them, don't worry. Yeah, you've got a great relationship with Warner Brothers after Birds of Prey. Let's see the whole article then. Margot Robbie regularly pesters WB about Poison Ivy joining the DCEU. Margot Robbie pesters people at Warner Brothers all the time about adding Poison Ivy to the DCEU so they can explore her relationship with Harley Quinn. By Nicholas Graff of Screen Rant. Margot Robbie wants to see Poison Ivy in the DCEU, and she's letting the people at Warner Brothers know it. Robbie's tenure as the character Harley Quinn has been such a consistent success for the studio that they should know to pay attention when she has ideas. Oh no, I'm going to read that again. This is so funny. Margot Robbie wants to see Poison Ivy in the DCEU, and she's letting the people at Warner Brothers know it. Robbie's tenure as the character Harley Quinn has been such a consistent success for the studio that they should know to pay attention when she has ideas. Really? Really? Are you really saying that? You absolute fuck knuckles? Are you being serious, right? Her only appearance thus far that's been successful is David Ayer's Suicide Squad, edited together by a pop video company, right? That's the only one. Birds of Prey was a disaster. So what are you talking about successes? Critical reception doesn't make a film successful. It's the Wonga, and it didn't make enough. End of story. Anyway, attention when she has ideas. The real question is whether or not they see the value in adding Poison Ivy to the slate of characters already in the DCEU. Oh, that was hilarious. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy started off as simple Batman villains, but have evolved into so much more, thanks to their popularity together in pop culture. When Harley and the Joker are on the outs, she finds solace and comfort in the relationship she has with her friend Poison Ivy, and that relationship has been portrayed across various mediums as everything from very close friendship to a full-blown romance between the pair, all of which could be fascinating to see portrayed on the big screen, which is likely what Robbie has in mind. What Robbie has in mind, like she's got any say in the matter. Marcus Walker, I really want to see Harley and Ivy on screen together, but after BOP, I don't know if I want Margot Robbie to spearhead the idea. She won't. She will not be spearheading any ideas, right? Yes, we all know why she wants Poison Ivy. We know it's all about politics, isn't it? To virtue signal. So they can have this gay relationship and everything. Don't get me wrong. I love that dynamic. It's a cool dynamic. But someone like this should just be saying the words. When I say action, Margot, you do what's in the script. You do not get to run any film anymore after you brought in a director who doesn't even know how to make cars crash. All right. While speaking recently to Den of Geek, Robbie revealed that she pesters people at Warner Brothers all the time about adding Poison Ivy to the DCEU, which I would love, by the way. She has big ideas for what Harley and Ivy could do on screen. Oh, yeah, I wonder what those ideas are, right? Adding Poison Ivy to the DCU. She has big ideas for what Harley and Ivy could do on screen together. Have been quoted in the past saying that their relationship is one of my favourite aspects of the comics and that she's looking to explore. Yeah, pick your words wisely, sweetheart. That on screen. She seems pretty sure she will get the people in charge to come around to her way of thinking, as she assured Den of Geek she was on the case. Trust me, I chew their ear. Excuse me, you chew people's ears off about it all the time. That's such an Aussie way of speaking, isn't it? They must be sick of hearing it. But I'm like, Poison Ivy, come on, let's do it. I'm very keen to see a Harley Poison Ivy relationship on screen. It'll be so fun, so I'll keep pestering them. Don't worry. I'd actually like them too to have their own movie. It would be great. Unfortunately, Margot's anti-male, pro-female kind of politics is what's driving this. Aside from being one of the darlings of the DCEU, oh God, Robbie has also become somewhat of a power figure in Hollywood as well. She's one of the highest paid female actors that's received academic award nominations for her dramatic roles in smaller art pictures, which is true, and has launched her own production company, Lucky Chap Entertainment. Lucky Chap, do you get it? Lucky Chap, with no men in the actual company. With all this in mind, her confidence in this matter is not all that surprising, as both her status and talent make it clear that she knows what she's doing. Birds of Prey and the fantastical emancipation of one Harley Quinn was a flop. How does she know what she's doing? As an actress, she knows exactly what she's doing. Yeah. Despite Robbie's plans, Poison Ivy's success in the DCEU will still rely on a few key factors. First and more importantly, the casting would have to be just right. Really? Obviously, the woman who got the role would need the right mix of nature first, passion, charisma, and romantic appeal. Or she could actually just be a good actor, you idiots. Not to mention needing to have the right chemistry with Robbie for the relationship side of things to work. Next would be how they introduce her. Telling her origin story would mean a few films would need to happen for her to get to the relationship with Harley. The smarter play might be to just insert Ivy into Gotham as though she had been there for years, similar to Harley and the Joker. However, they would still need to spend time giving some background for audience members who are not as familiar with her character in the comics, which may be the real sticking point to all of this. Luckily, fans have Robbie convincing Warner Brothers to take a chance on the idea, because they would never have thought of it on their own, would they? Oh, God. Basically, in practice, right? In practice, I am so up for this. Daniel H. Robbie gets more woke every day, putting her foot in it again. Well, I don't mind. I don't mind what she's saying here. She's not saying anything wrong. What I'm saying is, the article says she knows what she's doing and she's the darling of the DCEU. She was the darling of the DCEU and she was my darling as well, until I realised she has this she's another political nut job from the alt-left. So at the end of the day, I've lost my respect for her. I loved her in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad because she just read the script and did as she was told. She wasn't running things. And I'm sorry, Margot, you should never direct. You should never write. You should never employ any directors. You do not have a clue about what goes on in the mechanics of making a film. But as an actor, you are terrific. So keep up the good work. And that's my opinion. And for our final article today on the Big Mouth Daily Live, Zack Snyder talks Restore the Snyderverse. Says WB is aggressively anti-Snyder. Now, we covered this last night, but let's cover it again. And we didn't read an in-depth article about it. In a new interview, Zack Snyder addresses the status of the ongoing movement to restore the Snyderverse without the support of Warner Brothers by Anna Damarov from Screen Rant. Director Zack Snyder addresses the status of the Restore the Snyderverse movement. Months after the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Immediately after the Snyder Cut was released, after more than 3 years of waiting, a brand new public campaign started, this time demanding the continuation of Snyder's vision for the DCEU. Months have passed since it all started, and the filmmaker is now offering his his hopes on the matter. Snyder originally mapped out a 5-part arc for the DCU that would supposedly wrap up with Justice League 3. Daniel Leach, you know how we are. Sam Jan reviews. James Gunn should do Gotham City Sirens, right? But after the divisive response to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, plans would change. Justice League, which is its direct sequel, was heavily altered after principal photography when Snyder was no longer involved and had been replaced by Joss Whedon. Extensive reshoots essentially left much of Snyder's footage unused, resulting in a very different story from what it was originally going to be. The Snyder Cut, although not canon, reveals what could have been, and fans of the filmmaker want more. During an interview with Jake's Takes, as Snyder promotes his new project, Netflix Army of the Dead. You know what's funny? He's going around promoting Army of the Dead, and he's talking more about the DCEU than he is his own project. Now, this is interesting because really there's not much to say about Army of the Dead. It's a zombie flick. It's a zombie flick with a difference. It'll probably be awesome, blah, blah, blah. So he's mixing in the DCEU stuff to make that film seem more fuller than it actually is. It's smart. The director was asked what he can tell those who are still holding out hope that the Snyderverse will indeed be restored. He hopes that despite Warner Brothers supposedly being aggressively anti-Snyder, they will realize that there's a massive clamor for his version of the DCEU. Read what Snyder said below. Warner Brothers has been aggressively anti-Snyder, if you will. What can I say? Clearly, they're not interested in my take, but I would also say that they certainly weren't interested in, let's say that again. They're not interested in my take, but I would also say that they certainly weren't interested in, I would have said originally, in my take on Justice League. They certainly made decisions about that. I love the characters and I love the worlds, and I think it's an amazing place to make a movie. It's glorious IP, so there's that. I don't know what could be done as you go forward, other than I think the fan movement is so strong and the fan community, their intention is so pure, well, some of us, and really have this huge respect for it. I would hope that cooler heads would prevail with the studio and they would see that there's this massive fandom that wants more of that. But who knows what they'll do. Initially, Snyder downplayed hope for the Snyderverse being restored before the release of the Snyder Cut on HBO Max. He told his fans that he has no plans for continuing the arc. However, considering how Zack Snyder's Justice League very clearly sets up a sequel, even ending in a cliffhanger of sorts, it's understandable that those who liked its story would want more. As for HBO, they are maintaining that Snyder's trilogy is already complete with his latest 4-hour HBO Max project. Despite it obviously not being the case at this point, fans are approaching the matter the way they did with the release of the Snyder Cut movement, with unrelenting effort consistently campaigning on social media for the Snyderverse. Only time will tell if this new endeavor will succeed the way its predecessor did. It's worth noting that in the DCEU, the theatrical version of the ensemble superhero blockbuster is deemed canon. So outside of Zack Snyder's Justice League, the studio is developing stories and planning on introducing new characters. If HBO and Warner Bros. Listen to the Restore the Snyderverse campaign, Snyder's film series can simply just exist in a bubble of its own after all. The franchise is already exploring the multiverse. Right. Daniel Leach, all zombie flicks are the same to me. Not much you can do with them. Apparently, he's done something interesting and different with this. So that's interesting. Here's the problem, right? And there are all the articles we got for today. So I think I've updated you really well today. I was really sorry. I'm really sorry I was called away. That was ridiculous. I actually told my dad what to tell the fixing man because he came to fix the irrigation system. And again, my dad had no bloody clue and I had to run out there, get sweaty and come back to you guys. And I hope you were still on the stream. So thank you for being on the stream. Anyway, the problem with this Elseworld thing and the Snyderverse, let me tell you what it is. What about the Justice League members? Is Cavill, Momoa, Gadot, Miller, right, part of the central universe or that universe? They can't be part of the Elseworld and be part of the central universe at the same time. In fact, there's only one way they can do that, is that there's two different versions of them. So you've got these multiverse versions and you've got these versions. But here's another problem. How can they be shooting that stuff and shooting that stuff? unless Cavill just would be on the Elseworld. So these are the problems. These are problems that can be fixed, of course. Now, I claimed last night a very big claim that Zack Snyder has been offered to restore the Snyderverse over on HBO Max. He didn't want that. He wanted the keys to the kingdom, and he wanted to run the whole thing, and this is why they've fallen out, and now they've got a very public spat. Now, we saw Warner Brothers post a 4K trailer of Justice League. Obviously, that was meant to put a point. And Zack keeps on coming out, exposing stuff about Wayne T. Carr's Green Lantern. Again, he's saying that he never understood why they didn't want Green Lantern. Well, I'll tell you why they were angry. I think this is another division between them. Let me tell you why they were angry with him wanting to put Wayne T. Carr in. Their old arch enemy, Ray Fisher, cast him. He went and found him. Why do you think they weren't happy about it, Zack? Right? You've got this actor casting people and ruling the roost, right? Of course they weren't happy about it. You see, sometimes I don't think Zack gets it, understands how you work, how you behave in a big studio. And things like this simply don't work. So there's a huge divide between studio and director. I think officially, should I say that? Originally, should I say, I think they wanted to restore the Snyderverse over on HBO Max. And I just feel that he wanted more than that. And, you know, pulling stunts like having Ray Fisher find an actor to play Green Lantern is absolutely ridiculous. Now, nobody really knows what's going on here. Was this guy cast for the original shoot, or was this just done to put in the Snyder Cut? Nobody actually knows that, and it doesn't really make sense. And Zack's not really making sense about it either. And maybe someone out there, before I leave you for today, can let me know about that. So at this moment, the fans will continue to fight. I will continue to fight by hashtagging Restore the Snyderverse and retweeting other people fighting in a constructive way without saying, WB, you're awful. You didn't have faith in Joker. You're crap. I hate you, Toby. Not interested in all that. That's boring. But if you've got something intelligent to say, I will certainly forward the cause. At this moment in time, there is a massive chasm, not a divide, a chasm between Zack Snyder and WB Pictures. And he hasn't helped himself. Now, of course, he's using the dceu to push his own movie. Of course he is. He's smart. He's a tactical genius. He had it. He had restored the Snyderverse, thanks to himself, thanks to us, the fans, and he messed it up. And his man, Ray Fisher, messed it up because they got greedy. They didn't just want a little corner over on HBO Max. They wanted the keys to the kingdom. Well, that's it for this morning's Big Mouth Daily Live. I hope you enjoyed all the updates, the chat and the conversation, and seeing me running outside to deal with things I shouldn't have to deal with. I'm going to have a word with my old man in a minute. So you may see me later. No, you will see me later. Only kidding. You will see me tonight with Big Mouth Live around 6:30 p.m. UK time. So if you're rewatching this, comments down below. Like, and I mean share as much as you like to your different platforms. So like, share, and subscribe. Find me over on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And I will be back tonight with Big Mouth Live from 6 to 6:30 p.m. UK time. Daniel Leach, cheers. Cheers, Daniel. Goodbye, Danny boy. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for being involved. Thank you for your support. And I'll be back tonight with Big Mouth Live. See you tonight. Until then, have a lovely day, lovely evening, whatever you're doing. Make sure you don't get caught. See you again tonight.